here. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Resource Management Institute's Q2 Power Up session on trends in digital transformation for resource management. My name is Ryan Childers. I'm the Managing Director of the RMI. I'm really glad you're with us here today. We've got a great session planned for you. Before we get into the content of today's session, I want to give a special thank you to the sponsor of today's session, Cantata. We really appreciate your support in helping make events just like this one possible. So thank you for your support. In terms of our game plan for today's session, for those of you that are new to the RMI, I'm going to share just a little bit of insight into who we are and what we're all about. And then I'm joined today by Wade Little from RTM Consulting. He's going to lead our featured topic on trends in digital transformation for resource management. I'll come back in and share a couple of updates from the RMI, and then we'll have some light Q&A at the end. So we have a quick 30 minutes here. We're going to get right to it. Okay, for those of you that may be new to the Resource Management Institute, let me tell you a little bit about us. So we are a 3,000 member resource management community. We were established in 2016, and as an institute, we are 100% dedicated to the advancement of resource and workforce management, thought leadership, best practices, and standards. We do that through our market research and white papers, industry collaboration events just like this one, and our globally recognized resource management training and certification program. If you haven't joined the RMI yet, this is your invitation to go ahead and do so. If you follow the link there at the bottom of the screen, it'll take you to our homepage. When you get there, if you look in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see a great big join button. If you click that and give us just a little bit of information, you are in. You're officially a member of the RMI at that point. And membership comes with a whole bunch of benefits for you. You get access to RMI Insight and white papers on resource management best practices. You get access to all of our market research. And because you're in our system, you'll get invitations to RMI events and access to recordings of previous RMI events as well. The best part about this is if you join, it is 100% free. So you have the opportunity to take advantage of all of those benefits at no cost to you. And so we hope you'll consider doing that and become a member of the RMI. All right, with that, I want to move us into our featured topic for today's Power Up. It is titled Trends in Digital Transformation for Resource Management. I'm joined by Wade Little, who leads the technology practice at RTM Consulting. Wade, I'm going to turn it over to you. It's all yours.
Great. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, or good evening, depending on where you are in the world. As Ryan said, my name is Wade Little, and I'm a partner with RTM Consulting, now a Belcan company, and I lead our technology practice. I've spent the larger part of 30 plus years, primarily as a consultant, helping companies make the best use of their technology investments. So Ryan, why don't you go ahead and advance this? So I think most everyone, or hopefully most everyone here, has seen our just-in-time framework for resource management, which is all about getting the right person in the right place at the right time. And today we're going to specifically talk about the technology circle on the wheel here. But what we'll see is that many or all of these circles are really interdependent. So since the topic of the day is trends in resource management technology, I thought I'd share a little bit on what some of the trends are as it relates to software features or capabilities. These are some of the relatively newer and maybe more popular features that are out there as it relates to resource management. The first one is what I'll call resource recommendations, and this is Amazon-like scoring based on a resource's fit to the demand or the request. This takes into consideration things like skills, roles, a person's maybe level in the organization, where they're located, and of course, availability. And in some cases, There's even software that'll go as far as making the actual assignment based on fit without any intervention by a human. So yes, there we have it. Robots replacing humans. Sort of kidding there. Obviously, this would be somewhat limited use cases, but it is a feature that is available. The second trend relates more to employee engagement, and this speaks to consultants having a more active role in their assignments, whether it be preferences on assignments by being able to see what's available and volunteering for that assignment, or raising their hand, or even looking for projects for a specific person. So, for example, if they're available and on the bench. Generally, this is a more resource-centered approach to staffing, or kind of inside out, where you're looking at all of the projects that might be available for a specific resource, rather than looking at all the resources to put on a project. So just looking at it through a different lens. Um, there have been some great new features around automatically updating skills or skills information, and this may be based on previous assignments. I've seen some capabilities around resume parsing for an initial load, and as we know, sometimes keeping skills up to date can be a challenge, and so this feature just helps with keeping a skills database fresh and relevant. Tighter integration with recruiting or gig marketplaces is another trend I'm seeing. The idea here is, if I can't find someone internally to meet my demand, so there's an integration to either create then a hiring requisition over my HR system, or perhaps some integration with a gig marketplace to find an external resource. Um, and then last, of course, here, all the rage is around AI and machine learning, and some of the features that I just mentioned use variations of AI or machine learning. We'll continue to see more and more AI and ML capabilities, and I look for this to grow exponentially in the near future. Okay, Ryan, next slide here. Okay. So, we just talked about some of the newer trends, but what I want to discuss now is what I hear most when I talk to clients. So, either when I'm doing an implementation or doing an assessment or an evaluation, I really hear less about all the new bells and whistles, and those are cool. But I hear a lot more about challenges around what I'd call just basic blocking and tackling for resource management. So, for example, I hear all the time that people do not have visibility into pipeline, into what's coming down the road. I hear all the time that projects are dynamic, and they're and changing, and those changes aren't being kept up to date, and there are data quality issues. um, I hear that consultants aren't always very good at at entering their timesheets routinely, or that they're not being approved routinely, and this causes all of these things cause all sorts of challenges for resource managers. So Ryan, if you pivot to the next one. So the things that I hear most fall into these three common challenges. And so the first one being forecasting demand, and so this is that forward looking visibility into what's coming down the road, that pipeline data. And so many people many RMs feel like they're getting blindsided, when there are several projects, or one maybe large important project that just landed, and all of a sudden, they're scrambling to find resources, right? And so not having that forward-looking visibility can be, problematic. The second one, backlog management, and this really refers to projects that are already in my portfolio and being executed against, that I know about, but things keep changing, and making sure that that information is kept up to date, so I have the latest and greatest information at my fingertips and know what people are doing. And then the last one is time compliance. And so let's now take a look at each one of these and then talk about what some of the newer capabilities are that can address some of these challenges. So first, on forecasting demand, based on previous RMI research, it's pretty clear that this isn't being done well, right? So roughly 97% feel like at minimum there can be some improvement, and at least half or more than half are saying that it's less than adequate, right? So some of this is organization related or process related. In fact, I'd argue that many of the issues are more process than technology. However, there are some capabilities that can help, that we'll talk about here. So Ryan, let's go to the next slide here. So the key, obviously, to getting visibility into pipeline is to get the information into your RM tool or your PSA PPM solutions sooner. Every company's different, uh, but you need to find the Goldilocks zone where it's not too soon and things are constantly changing, but also not too late where you don't really have enough forward advance notice. And usually, not always, but usually, this is around the time of creating a proposal or negotiating an SOW with a client. Um, and so some features that can help, one, integration with tools like CPQ. And so if you're not familiar with the term CPQ, it's configure price quote. And there's been a lot of progress in this area recently, specifically as it relates to services. This CPQ tool has been around for quite a while for products, but for supporting services, there's been a lot of advancement in this area. Another trend, if you will, or capability, is integration with CRM. I have Salesforce here on the page because it seems the most common or ubiquitous. But regardless of which CRM tool you're using, this integration is paramount for getting this forward-looking visibility. And truth be told, here you could do this by manually inputting the projects into your resource management tool or PSA or PPM. But the reality, is this integration or this automation makes it more formal and regular. Some of the other features are the use of project templates. So this makes the whole kind of creation of a project more simple and smooth and streamlined, and it can help build out that demand profile, for the resources that are going to be needed. And then the other feature is proposal modeling, where you may model a couple of different scenarios, maybe using a different mix of resources, and then through this you might be able to see which scenario is best from an RM capacity standpoint. And this can also help support better communication between the sales team and the delivery team. Okay. The second challenge that I want to talk about is backlog management. Again, this is the day-to-day kind of care and feeding of the projects that are already won, and are being actively worked. Plans always change. People leave or get sick, or the client pushes the project out, or the work takes longer or shorter than estimated. And when this happens, the schedules and the data need to be updated. And when it's not updated, it's garbage in and garbage out. And I no longer have an accurate forecast of what resources are working on. And that impacts my decision making ability. So sometimes there's confusion about who should do this, and this speaks perhaps to an organizational design and making sure that I have clear roles and responsibilities. Sometimes there's just poor communication among uh, consultant, resource manager, and project manager, and this speaks more to kind of a good governance or a good process that needs to be put in place. And sometimes the data that's input is either done kind of haphazardly, or sometimes maybe by a limitation in the tool. And what I mean in this last example is peanut butter spreading the assignments, and we see this quite often. This is where I assign a person for the duration of the project, and maybe 6 months or so, at 25% or at 50%. Um, and sometimes this can be fine, and maybe it's directionally accurate, but a lot of times, or it needs to be more contoured, if that suits your projects better. And there are a number of capabilities that can help here. And the first one, is just alluded to, is schedule contouring. And what I mean by that is that a person may be scheduled to work 20 hours for this week, and 40 hours next week, and then back down to 10 hours the week after that. And usually we recommend more macro level contouring, e.g., at a week level. Um, and there are many resource management tools that allow you to do this contouring almost like an Excel workbook, or a worksheet. And sometimes this can also be done by assigning resources to a task. Again, hopefully at a high level task, one that might last a week or longer. And as that task slides, either forward or backwards, the assignment can slide with it, and that can give a more accurate picture of what each resource is working on. And so that's contouring. Workflow is a feature that's actually been available for a bit, but I see it being implemented a little more widely now, and even some more capabilities that have been released recently. And the workflow usually supports a request and then an approval of that request, whether it be for a new assignment or a change in an assignment. And again, this can help facilitate that communication between a resource manager and a project manager, and facilitate a good process. I've seen some capability around assignment effort visibility. And so, for example, when a consultant is entering their time, they can see how much time is remaining. So, maybe I started with 100 hours for my assignment, and now I have 40 hours remaining, and so I can see that on my timesheet. And this can be, maybe a trigger to let their project manager know if they need more or less time for that assignment or for that task. And again, a tool that can help facilitate good communication between a consultant and their project manager, so that the project manager, or the project manager working with the resource manager, could perhaps update the schedule. And again, this is all about maintaining that backlog, to know what everyone's working on. And then the last feature here is in-tool collaboration. Sorry, Ryan, back. Yep, this in-tool collaboration, and whether it's a native tool, or integration with something like a Microsoft Teams or Slack. But the key is getting out of email or kind of point-to-point phone calls, and having the conversations documented so that you can refer back if needed. And this can be very asynchronous, which is sometimes just a little bit easier. And again, another tool to help facilitate that communication to make sure that things are being updated routinely. Okay, the last common challenge that I see often is around time tracking, and every day I still find it hard to believe that this is even an issue. But every day I'm surprised, and in a services based business, it's really just not optional. There are certainly some exceptions for some roles, like maybe in support or customer success, but those are kind of different business models, right? But for client facing services, time tracking is a must. It impacts so many key metrics: utilization. It can impact revenue, cost, margin. All the things that are critical for services organizations. And I won't read all the bullets here, but it really does start with creating a culture for time entry and making it mandatory. I've even seen it embedded into management by objectives, or end of the year evaluations and so forth. And then there's got to be a governance process that's defined, uh, and a management system around it, or reports around it that can be monitored routinely to help support it. So luckily, there are a lot of capabilities here to help, such as pre-filled timesheets, right? So if you are assigned to a project for 10 hours for this week, and that's what you're expected to work, the tool should know that, and pre-fill your timesheet accordingly. Then it's just up to you to adjust if needed. If I worked an extra couple of hours, then I'm just tweaking it up or down. But for the most part, my timesheet should have all of the projects that I'm working on, and what I'm forecasted to work. A companion feature to this is what I call kind of the easy button, and this is similar to the first one. So but if you're assigned to a project, maybe a single project or maybe two projects for every week, for 40 hours a week or 20 hours a week, you just go to your timesheet and you just hit the submit button, right? It's the easy button. Um, Another feature is mobile time entry. This has been available, it seems like forever, but not everyone uses it. It's a great feature, especially for those people who are on the road a lot. Many tools have notifications or reminders. So maybe every Friday at 3 o'clock, you'll get a notification to get your time in. For time approvals, I've seen some tools maybe pre-validate the timesheet, so that as an approver, you can see right when you're approving it, that it's not going to fail, or that there aren't going to be errors downstream, that at the point when you're approving it, you don't have to wait hours later to see or to know that there were some issues. So you can see it right at the time of approval. And then there are dashboards for approvals, where maybe you can look at approvals in a few different ways. You can view it by project, or by team or by organization, and you kind of go down the list and approve, and kind of everything is right there on one screen at your fingertips, so that you're not having to point and click and move around to a bunch of different places. And then finally, almost all these tools have some sort of compliance reporting that's available. And these reports should be used regularly to monitor compliance and make sure that people are getting their time in routinely. Okay, so we've talked a lot about the technology and some new features, some old features, but it's not just about the features and the technology. These new features or these old features need to be supported by leading practice process, and the right organizational design to be most effective. And as the quote here says, if you're just automating suboptimal processes, you'll just end up with fast caterpillars. And what we want is good leading practice that's then supported by automation, and that's true digital transformation. So, Ryan, that's it. Back over to you.
Awesome. That's great. Thank you for all the wonderful insight. I love the idea of pairing process with organizational structure and making use of those features that are regularly available in our tools. So that's well said and awesome for our audience. So thank you for that, Wade. Really appreciate it. All right. I'm going to wrap us up here with a couple of things. I want to share some updates on some of our events that we have coming up, and then training as well. The first one is a big one here. So RMI Connect is coming. So this is the official save the date, October the 3rd and 5th. That's a Tuesday and Thursday. RMI Connect is our virtual event, so it's open to an entirely global audience. This will be the third year that we are running it, so it's coming back. We're excited about it. We are in the process of building the agenda for it and have some great content being developed. So super excited about this one. Just want to put it out there as a placeholder for you and get your teams talking about it internally. We're going to share a whole bunch more information in the coming weeks on registration and when that's going to open up. We'll also have some team packages that you can look to take advantage of as well. So for now, just put a placeholder out on the calendar and save the dates of October the 3rd and 5th for our virtual event, RMI Connect. All right. Also want to mention our upcoming RMCP schedule. So RMCP, for those of you that might be new to the RMI, so RMCP is the first of its kind certified professional skills development program that's specifically designed for resource managers. It's available in 3 different formats, so you can choose whichever model fits how you learn the best. It's available in person in a traditional classroom. We do that out of our headquarters in Cincinnati. You see we have a couple of dates there in the middle of the screen in August and November where we're running classes this year. The class is also available online with a live instructor. Those classes meet for 2 hours at a time. We have classes starting in July, September, and November there. And then the third delivery format is our on-demand option. And so the class is pre-recorded and those on-demand modules sit in our LMS. They're available 24/7. And so if that's a better learning method for you and fits your schedule better, you're welcome to take advantage of that as well. So just wanted to put that out there for all of us. And so with that, I want to give a special thank you again to the sponsor of today's Power Up, Cantata. Thank you again for your help and support making today's event possible. We've got just a couple of minutes left. I see several questions here in the panel or in the Q&A panel. Wade, I thought I might take us into one of them here and give you a chance to respond to it with the time we have left. So here's a really, really good one. I'll read it out for you, Wade, and again, give you a chance to process it and give us an answer. So how do we measure the key metrics around availability of resources assigned to a fixed fee project as their percentage allocations might change erroneously? So that's part one of the question. And then what do you think are some of the key metrics with relations to measuring the resources assigned to fixed fee projects?
Okay, that was quite a mouthful there, Ryan. Do you mind repeating the first part of
Sure.
that?
Yeah, this was a wordy one. How do we measure the key metrics around availability of resources assigned to a fixed fee project as their percentage allocations might change?
Well, it's hard to know exactly what the question is after here, but I'll take a stab at it. And I think this relates back to the contouring that we had talked about. So
Yep.
whether it's fixed fee or time and materials, a person is assigned to a project for a certain amount of time. And again, it may not be, that straight 50% for the life of the project. It may be 10 hours this week, 20 hours next week, 30 hours the following week, et cetera. And so contouring can kind of help. The feature of contouring can kind of help give a more accurate picture of what that person's really doing and how much time they're spending on that project from week to week. And again, I said, I would keep it a little bit more at a high level, more on a weekly basis, as opposed to down to the hour. And then the second part of the question I think is important, because I hear a lot of this around metrics and around, people. I'm not sure if this was where the question was headed, but um, I hear a lot about people, saying, why do I have to enter time for this project because it's fixed fee? And the important piece about time capture on a fixed fee project is that's the only way that you can know the cost component, right? And so if I'm spending 10 hours on this project, this week, then that's 10 hours of cost that's accumulating. The revenue part is, through the milestones, but the time that you spend makes up the cost component of it. And you have to have, of course, both the revenue and the cost in order to know the margin and am I making any money on this project? So hopefully that answered the question.
Awesome. That's great. That's great. I see we are right past the top of the hour here. There's another question I'm going to address because I think I can get it done quickly, and then we'll wrap up here and take the others offline. So the question is, I'm trying to research how resource management has grown the last 5 years. For example, RMOs existed in a certain number of companies in 2010. Now there are more RMOs, less RMOs. Has this research been done in terms of growth? Great question. And what I want to point you all to, our market research that the RMI puts out on a quarterly basis has been tracking the trend of RMO growth over the last few years since our inception back in 2016. We have surveys that are out on the RMI website. So if you join the RMI, and for this person who submitted the question, I would encourage you to do that. Go out to the Insights tab, look for our market research, and you'll be able to download the RMO organization's survey series and take a look at that. So I hope that helps. Great questions. We'll take the others offline. So thank you all again for attending our Q2 Power Up. Wade, thank you for all the great insight that you shared with us. It's been great having you. Everyone have a great rest of the day, and we'll see you again soon.